I haven't checked yet.
Hi, Jeff.
I,
You? I think I set up this way a little further than usual. Make sure the room.
yeah, right, yeah, because usually we get too close to
Yeah.
the, I'm dead.
Said she felt like that. So
Oh, well, there you go.
Do you have a lot of police in here?
Yes.
Hello. And welcome.
Oh, yes, I went for a
So
walk.
you finally made it. How's it going? Good.
No. But last, today, yes.
That's for sure. I'm not liking that part of it. Hi, Wally and Karen. Hi, Larry.
She's got enough coffee.
Mr. Bob's
Yeah,
not
she's
coming
got
today?
enough.
He's not. He's not?
Oh, dear.
We're down to where we don't have hardly anybody here. No,
Is gone for the winter or what?
Lindsay would be here.
No, not those people are gone for the winter.
I don't know when she has classes or doesn't have classes.
Should we dial up Jill then? All right. Bet we got one of these. Yeah, he put a bunch of them on.
Oh, do we now cook for?
Let's bring this article.
Yeah.
What's that? Let's bring the article featuring Claude Morgan? No. Oh, I thought that. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Is that you, Jill? Is that you, statue?
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Hi, Jill.
Thank you.
Oh, is this the microphone?
Yeah. You can just.
Oh, yeah.
I can
that's
hear
right.
you fine, Mary.
Here. Oh, just beeping red, it's not
Oh.
on.
No, I can hear you.
Okay, we're getting the microphone
Should
straightened
be able
out
to hear
here.
from
We're
that.
live.
Yeah.
Yep.
What? No idea. Didn't hear what you said, Jill.
Oh, I went to my headset. Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Oh, good,
Yeah.
yeah.
sure can.
Good deal. Thank you.
A very low turnout here today. We don't have a quorum, I'd say. 1, 2, 3, and you'd make 4. So,
Oh, no.
yeah. But I don't know if we'll have any
Okay.
decision-making that'll require that.
I don't,
need to sign.
a minor decision, but nothing major.
Well,
Just the Christmas party,
yeah.
but that's.
Okay, so who else is there? Mary, David, Bob.
Walt.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come in late. Oh, no,
No,
Walt, you said
Walt's-
wasn't feeling well. Okay.
Walt's going off, Walt and Carol are going off to Michigan to get plans made for the rescue effort down in Texas.
Oh.
No, that's what they do. They have an organization that
Do you have a pen I can?
does disaster relief. And so they've been waiting for this to break, you know, so now.
Is this Texas or Puerto Rico?
Texas.
Oh,
I'm sure it'll be Texas, yeah.
oh,
It takes this much time, I guess, for them to figure out what
Yeah.
the needs are. And okay, so Walt, and Katie I knew wasn't going to be here. Well, everybody, we'll convene the meeting, I guess, and Mary and David are in Grand Junction. Walt's in Michigan. Katie has to work, as does Jill. And Bob said his legs weren't feeling stable this morning. That kind of has me concerned about it.
Mhm.
So those are our absentees. Not sure about Lindsay. She sometimes comes late, so we'll see what happens there. So we may have a quick meeting this morning. For your information, Jill, Rita, Karen, Wally, Maureen, and Deb, and Kevin are here. Kevin's subbing for Brian, who's off running around California. So
Mhm.
he literally is in a
Literally.
race with he and his brother are doing something, I guess. So, oh shoot. Well, Bob gave me the details on the fire truck account, which are at my house, so.
I've got it here. It's $333.50
Okay, good.
plus or minus $20 is what Brian
Okay,
said.
can you repeat that, please?
Absolutely. $333.50.
And he broke it down. We sold, I think $9 came out of the donation jug, and sold a book and sold a greeting card, a note card, so. At recent opening, I guess the last one. Okay.
Did you have Brian's notes to read?
Oops, I didn't think about
Because
that.
some of us were not in the September meeting.
He did not give me those. So
Oh,
No, I
okay.
didn't.
See, I tried to find them online and I didn't have them.
Oh, really? They weren't online, huh?
Well, on, excuse
the
me,
website.
in my email, they were
Oh,
not.
okay.
But that's probably because I wasn't here.
Are we talking about notes or minutes that Brian takes versus what you take,
Yeah.
Karen?
Yeah,
Now-
because he was, Karen wasn't here.
Yeah,
so I was gonna
that's
say-
right. Oh, because that was going to be the minutes, I
Yeah.
see. Okay. Now, did you, okay, while you're looking for those, Kevin, if I can add that, did you catch up with the point we made at our last work session retreat that we're going to have only one set of minutes done?
Yes.
You know, yeah, instead of having multiple notes and from all the commissions and committees, that it just doesn't make sense to have.
Yeah, Brian sent me an email and he said it's not a big problem with us because we take minutes anyway.
Right.
The only thing that I have to do is get them out in a more timely fashion.
But you always have them for the next meeting. That's in a timely
Yeah, but I think
fashion.
he wants them, he needs them by a certain time.
And it's
Do you
usually,
want to see this or?
He needs them sooner than I get them
Karen
to,
usually
so
gets
I
them out
will,
during
I
the-
will change that.
And the only reason I could imagine he needs them earlier is to put them in the next board meeting, packet, town board meeting, so that we can approve them, look at them and
Yeah,
approve them.
yeah.
But again, we've had some minutes from like the planning commission that are 2 months
Yeah.
old
No, I
before we
want
get
just
them.
send this at home.
Oh, yeah.
Almost, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you want me to read these?
But we don't like that when we're making, you know, if we're making a motion on something at the board that had been reviewed at a committee or like the commission, the planning commission, and we haven't even seen their minutes yet, it really gets to be a problem because we
Yeah.
haven't seen that. But you all, it's not really an issue. And then the other thing is that I usually give a report from what happened if there's something that needs board consideration
Yeah, some
at the meeting too.
clarifications.
Right, right.
well, Karen, and
Don't feel compelled, Karen, that you have to, if you're going off, while you're going out
Well,
someplace, you're not going to be able to get it done.
Usually going off is not the problem.
Just
So I just
sit
have
down
to
and
do it
do
and
it,
get
yeah.
them out.
Okay. All right.
well, thanks to Kevin, we have Brian's notes, so Karen will go ahead and read those for the record and see if there's any corrections or anything like that.
Okay, Town of Superior Historical Commission meeting notes, September 15th, 2017. Members of the commission in attendance: Katie Olson, Mary Cartwright, Errol Walagorski, Walt Ackerman, Larry Dorsey, Bob Morgan. Others in attendance: Maureen Hogue, Deborah Conley, Rita Dozal, Town Board Liaison, and Brian Meyer. Agenda items: debriefing. The museum saw a good turnout during the September opening. Commission member Walt Ackerman provided an update to the group on he and his wife's attendance at the Coal Creek Meals on Wheels lunch with the mayor event that was held on August 25th. Discussion. Historic fire truck. On September 1st, Commission Chair Larry Dorsey and members Walt Ackerman and Errol Walagorski all received a staff-coordinated training on driving the town's historic fire truck. These members then drove the truck the following day to be present for the September museum opening. Hold on. Okay. Discussion, second grade field trips. Dates have been finalized for the annual second grade field trips to Grasso Park, the museum, and Town Hall. Commission member Larry Dorsey discussed staffing and logistics for the following. September 22nd, Monarch K through 8 school, 9:30 a.m. arrival time. September 26th, Superior Elementary School, 9:30 a.m. arrival time. September 29th, El Dorado K through 8 school, 9:30 a.m. arrival time. Prior to the field trip, staff will work on disposing of various excess materials in the Grasso barn and will obtain new combo locks for the jail cell and Grasso house. Staff will also look into reinstalling the house's lock clasp to a higher location on the door. Discussion, 2017 budget. Staff and Larry Dorsey recently met with a contractor to look into repairing or replacing the porch on the north side of the museum building. The commission would like to replace the existing porch boards with pressure-treated 2x6 pine lumber. Staff will follow up with the group once an estimate is obtained from the contractor. There is currently $2,062.15 remaining in the Town of Superior Historic Preservation account. The commission is also interested in submitting a request for the 2018 budget to purchase and install a cover or shelter for the historic jail cell in Grasso Park. Staff will obtain a cost estimate for this project. Discussion, grants and scholarship opportunities. Trustee Dazal plans to discuss with the town manager adding a historical education grant or scholarship to the town's current program for these opportunities. Next meeting, October 20th.
Right, any additions or corrections to Brian's notes? Okay, I think let's let them stand since we don't. Okay, so we got the fire truck account report, so now the Town of Superior from Kevin.
Yes, so $1,800, $1,808.67. And Brian said that $1,800 of that is gone already because Pedro is putting in the porch. And the porch is, he said, is going to be exactly the same. Where do I have that? As was there before. And that includes the painting and everything. So it'll leave about $20 left in that account. So it's pretty much done. And then there was some reimbursement, I guess, for the drapes.
Yes.
That also happened.
Yeah, he reimbursed me for the drapes and also Wally for stuff that he had done in Grasso Park.
Yeah, so talking with Brian, we were just so close, a little under, a little over. It looked like it's going to be a problem in terms of expending this the 2017 budget. So, did he say when Pedro's going to start?
He did. Starting soon.
Starting soon. Wow, we did that one.
Or the official notes he gave me.
Okay. His official starting time is soon.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, we're succeeding in using up all of our budget, and I think it's going to be money well spent to get that porch straightened out. Okay, move on down the agenda then, and at the museum opening on October 7th, we had 8 people. This is my little tally device I've got now. And we had some very nice visitors, I thought. In particular, a lady named Twyla Papp came around, and then she kept talking about how she wanted to be here before and had something she wanted to donate to us, a telephone. And so I kept thinking, that's a familiar sounding name. So she came back with her husband on the telephone. It turns out they've made some donations in the past, and it so happened that some of the things that he had donated, I think from his mother's side, were actually on display. So I think they were happy to see that. So the Papps donated a wall crank telephone with a wooden case and all that sort of thing. So,
Wow.
So we'll get that cataloged, and I'd like to see it on the wall someday. And let's see, anything else you can think of? The
No?
7th?
That wasn't, when the people from Russia came through, was that the month before?
That was the month before,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So that was a good, good day, I thought. Second grade field trips, well, what are your reactions to the second grade field trips? I'll share what I found out.
I thought they were great. The kids were great this year, well behaved, except for one incident.
Except
but-
for one stinker, but,
Otherwise,
Is that
I
the one
thought they
that
were great.
supposedly got hurt?
uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
Wally.
Not want to minimize if a child says they're hurt,
I'm
but you
supposed to hit
know.
him with that club.
No, you know.
But they're in there, and we tell them to be careful, and then they get
Well,
hurt in
that
the
was
jail.
one of those things where I do my little lecture about this'll hurt you, this'll hurt you.
Yeah,
And they were in there and in the cell, and somebody asked me a question because I really watched that stuff pretty close. And I turned to answer the question and bingo. And he scraped himself, I don't remember which side on that deal that sticks out to hold the bed up.
oh, yeah.
He scraped him on that, and I think it may be just a little bit of blood on it, but not much. And then I think he banged his head on the bars on the side. I think he had kind of a
Goodness.
knot. But the teachers were on it immediately. They had a first aid kit. They took care of him.
Yeah,
Well, I sent out an email to the teachers to get their reactions. I got reactions back from 2 of them, and they're both real positive. And I asked them the question, we had this little discussion by email, I think, whether or not we should have first aid kits at the ready. So I asked them if they bring first aid kits. So here's what Karen said from El Dorado. Thanks for the great field trip. All the El Dorado teachers carry first aid kits. And I mentioned that having 50-some students from Monarch and 70-some students from the other 2 schools really helped, because we used to get over 100 some of these field trips. So she agreed the smaller class size made it more manageable. Second grade teachers, students, and parents are all very happy with the field trip, and we are always so impressed with their volunteers. Now they teach us about Superior now and long ago. Thanks again. So the feedback's always, again, is quite positive, and I had that earlier email contacted Karen about the kid who got injured, and she didn't seem to be concerned. So I think that all got handled pretty well.
I have-
Volunteers.
I have a question on this. Does the town require some form of, what do they call that, a waiver form that the school fills out in case there's a student somehow gets injured, or parental consent to do? I don't know if we should be concerned that something like this, that there's a possibility there could be a problem, a parent gets irate and there's a legal question on this.
Might be worth looking into. I know that, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, for all of our volunteer events, we always have a liability form that people sign off on,
Okay.
or even on the day of the event, we'll have forms available that people can sign off of. Obviously, with that one, you have to think about parents, so getting that liability form way out in advance for them to fill out,
Yeah.
since they're minors.
Well, I know that a kid can't go on a field trip unless they've signed
Yeah.
field trip permission form. So
Yeah.
Okay.
so the school's got it covered from their angle. I don't know if we need.
Right,
Yeah, I wrote it down,
I'll do that.
I'll ask the
Yeah.
question.
it's a good
Okay.
question.
Yeah, it's a good question whether the waiver that they do for the field trip should include Superior too, as a town, and
Yeah.
we could ask for that. But we have some indemnification because of the fact that we're a town government, but we also have insurance, so, they can't, there's 2 forms of protection for the town. One is we're indemnified just from certain liabilities or a maximum amount, and then others is that we do have insurance. But we need to understand that. I think it's a good question to ask about that around old buildings and structures. What, if there's anything additional that we need to do?
There's probably something because I believe when you were doing the thing in the root cellar,
Uh-huh.
and one of the kids or somebody in there made a comment about there was nails sticking out in there. So maybe that's something here in the not too distant, well, before next year, I'll maybe try and get in there and see if there's any nails sticking out in these places.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, kids walk in there, which is okay. but
Yeah, they really
if
like to
get
go in
goofing
there.
around a little bit,
Some of
there's
them.
something sticking out and they
Yes.
get hooked on a nail,
Right.
you know? And I think there's some in the wall in the house in there. And we were thinking at one time, oh, we ought to leave those because they could have been coat hangers. Well, you know, maybe we're at that point, we need to not worry about that part, and if they're sticking out, get rid of them.
And I think that those tin stovepipes, we should take them off the floor too. Because every group of kids that I took into the house, they all wanted to go over there and touch them. And what are these, you know, that there's stovepipes in the corner of the kitchen and they're on the floor, just.
Oh,
okay.
there's stuff in there that needs some debris in there that, right when you first come in, needs to be taken out.
And that too, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna continue to let them go through there, I don't mind it being old and decrepit because it shows them. And then they always say, oh, it's dirty and it's old and the floor is rough and, you know, because there's linoleum and boards and different things. That's not an issue, but I think we need to make sure that there's nothing they can pick up or stumble over
Yeah.
if we're gonna let them go in there. And every one of the groups that I went in with, one or two of them went immediately for those stovepipes that were in
Oh,
the
yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
So put them up on the shelf maybe if you're gonna leave them in there, because it's kind of interesting to say that's what goes in this chimney hole and took the smoke out, but not to have them sit on the floor.
Yeah. Well, we've got that old stove we've got someplace that we're gonna keep. We maybe ought to set that up in there with stovepipes on it.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, I assume it's still in the barn.
Yeah, it is.
That would be good to show them what we mean, and then I always say there's a table that was there, and that's where they did their homework, and they ate their meals and all this, you know, and they're like going, oh, you know, and what's that up there? I said, those are their cupboards, the shelf, you know, that's the
Yeah.
cupboards. What? So that's where the baby slept. No, that was
It's not a home and garden TV,
Yeah.
what do they call it, the way they describe the kitchens, you know.
They really want to go up inside the loft, the sleeping loft.
No, that's,
Sure do.
that's.
I know, you wouldn't go up there, but even
Right.
open the door, they go, oh, can we open the door?
Well, they're very curious and that hopefully got some of the curiosity. These are good suggestions, we'll follow up on those.
While we're talking about the house, just as a brief thing, we had that discussion on moving the hasp on the door, and it's been taken care of. I took care of it.
Did you move it? I thought you couldn't move it. You had difficulty? But you,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine.
It's moved.
I know, that's all I want, you don't have to tell me anything else. Yes,
It's
that's
fixed
great.
to where you can't take the screws out and open the door.
Thank you. Good job.
Yeah, whoever did that, good job.
Yeah, whoever did it. If it shouldn't have been done, I didn't do it.
Oh, good volunteer came in.
Well, next on the list is the volunteer dinner, so what are some reactions on the volunteer dinner last Monday night?
I think that was fabulous. The food was fantastic. The people that arranged all that over there, I think they did an absolute wonderful job. I can't say anything, but praise for that. That was just excellent.
Yeah, we want to thank the town for that,
Absolutely.
inviting us.
Cool.
It was excellent.
And thanks to you,
That's the
Kevin,
word.
for
Thank you.
making
Does,
comments.
Deb, does,
Yeah.
Maureen want to say something about that? Because I know she enjoyed it. According to her email, she enjoyed it.
Oh, it was an excellent dinner. Very, I think, the nicest we'd ever had.
Mhm.
Audrey was impressed, and the sports stable is really state of the art.
Mhm.
They did a wonderful job there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Maureen.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only concern I had was the sound system, and Kevin, he projected, he came through loud and clear, but some of the people followed you didn't, so.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it was, this modern trend in restaurants to have concrete and steel and sheet metal all over the place.
It doesn't help any.
Doesn't, no.
I wasn't sure about that microphone either.
Yeah,
That's right. I think it was a last minute, they brought in a PA system, so it wasn't, so they were telling us that they're gonna try to get something actually installed.
That'd be
There'll be a
good.
sound system for that place, so.
Oh, so they brought that in? the-
Yeah, that's right. It was just a rental,
The
I
restaurant
believe.
did.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep, they did that.
Yeah,
You
that
can
was,
hear, I could hear you.
right.
Yeah, I was wondering if, how we were holding the
Must
microphone.
have
You know,
been
Probably
something
needed
like
some
that.
lessons.
It's the tone of, the treble and the bass of your natural voice too,
Yeah,
makes a
some of the
difference.
soft-spoken.
Yeah, Clint is hard to hear because he's more
Mhm.
softer
Mhm.
and doesn't have that deeper voice, that.
But I would like to
Projects.
make a suggestion if you people in the future, if that's, in your plans, consider that place. That was just absolutely fabulous.
Mhm.
I guess the questions I have is, how long has it been open?
Gosh, maybe not even a year.
Oh, yeah. it's
Yeah,
for a
Yeah,
lot less than that.
I'd say the restaurant itself probably.
Oh, yeah, I meant the restaurant.
Oh, yeah, 4 months,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't advertise at all. And I
Yeah.
think people might go down there if they would advertise a
Yeah.
little.
As we said, we have some friends that we're gonna take down there.
Oh, yeah.
Come
Yeah.
up with, that impressed us that much.
Yeah. They took really good care of us.
The
They
other
gave us
question is, how do you
a great
pronounce
deal.
it?
I'm
Brunelleschi.
sorry?
How do you pronounce it?
Brunelleschi.
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 Ooh, ski, he must be a Polish,
Brunelleschi.
Polish Italian.
They have another restaurant up in Aspen.
Yeah.
And then this was the one they put down here. But they've had a slow start in sometimes, and then I know some people have gone at night on a Sunday night or early weeknight, and they've been closed because there's been no business.
Mm.
So just, as they're building up, just make sure that if you walk up there, if they're closed, it's because they
That's
probably
why, yeah.
didn't. I think that was when they first were opening up the first couple of months, and they were just, instead of staying open, they just would close because there was nobody there.
Well, it's because they've got different, because I've actually been in there and talked to them because I was interested in about putting the events. There's different, it's not like organized or franchised, the whole unit
Mhm.
by one entity.
Mhm.
It's several, and so that's, I think, why it's slow to start,
Mhm.
because the restaurant's different from the
Right. Hockey
hockey,
versus.
yeah, which is
impact sports.
different from the weights and
Right,
everything is separated out
Mhm.
into different organizations.
right.
And so each organization is staffing and managing that own,
Mhm.
so they're not yet fully functioning together.
Mhm. No, you're absolutely right about
Yeah.
that, and that's a
Yeah.
difficulty. So, Brunelleschi's, as a restaurant when it opened, they thought that they'd take advantage of all of the different events that are going on. Even Sticks, the coffee
Yeah.
shop, is
Yeah.
separate from
Yes.
all the rest of them. And, then no one's really coordinating, as you said, all of the activities. The turf field is separate from the weights, from the
Exactly.
impact
Turf
sports,
field's
from the,
separate.
Different,
Yeah.
separate,
Yeah.
and, yeah, so, because I was interested in getting the turf field for an event, yeah, those people are different, they weren't there to talk to, so
Right.
that's what I found out.
right.
Well, that's
And
a-
then the few that came and spoke at the event, the 3 or so that were there,
Mhm.
they're trying to put things together and coordinate better.
Yeah.
But even the first Friday coffee we had up there, the trustees had up there a couple of weeks ago, it was horrible. Because there was a tournament going on, and then the construction that was going on, and couldn't get into the streets, and nobody knew that there was going to be it was just a mess.
Mhm.
They're going through growing pains yet of
That's the nature of starting, that's a major startup. is,
Yeah.
major startup in a construction zone.
In a
That's
construction
right.
Well,
zone.
and that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's the problem, too.
Well, I went to
Okay.
ANFRAM on Monday, it was over at Lafayette, and at the Lafayette, well, the lunch was and the meeting was at Lafayette Library, and then they went over to the Miners Museum to look around, and so it was a good meeting. There was very low attendance there, too. I think some changes have been happening over at Lafayette with Jerry Morrell retiring from the fire department. He's taken over being the president of the Historical Society, and there's really some changes, some personnel, and they've, believe it or not, they've cleaned quite a bit of stuff out of the museum, so it's not quite as cluttered, but it's still an effective museum, I think. And so, and Jerry was at the museum itself, and they've got 2 people working for them, the Lafayette Miners Museum, that are on contract people. So rather than being on staff of the museum or the city of Lafayette, apparently they're contracting with the city of Lafayette to be history people. And the young lady is actually, I think, cleaning up their cataloging. So that was good. We might consider some openings next year. I think maybe the next meeting or whenever we have another meeting to bring up whether we should host ANFRAM next year or not, because there's some open dates. I did not go to the roundtable yesterday because something came up at the Railroad Museum. I had to go down there, but I went to the one in September, just some casual visiting. The only thing I can think of any relevance coming out of the September 21st meeting was that the Carnegie Branch Library for Local History has dropped the word branch from its name. So now it's the Carnegie Branch for Local History, or Carnegie Library for Local History. So no big deal otherwise. Any other debriefings? I think that should take care of that. Okay, number 2, cataloging and filing. Next week on the 24th, Alan, Mary, and I are going to meet at the museum to make up a list of items that we need to purchase to fill in some holes where we've used things up. Now that the budget's expended, we'll put that in first part of next year, then with the 2018 budget. And we have not met, with having Alan busy on Fridays and Gail resigning due to her professional obligation. We haven't done any catalog in quite a while now.
So I should take Gail's name off of there, probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably so. Because she retired from her volunteer status, sadly. Jill, got anything on the Oral History Project?
Nope.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Sorry. My apologies and my regrets. How's that?
That's good.
Those are fine. We
But
have
nothing for the minutes.
Yeah, and when we have that on the agenda, you're talking about getting more oral histories done, is that right?
Well, last we did was people had taken on things they would write out scripts for based on their expertise, and I never received any of those, so I could match pictures to them, and honestly, I haven't followed up, so
Okay.
We probably need to reignite that at the first of the year.
All right.
Because we've got a dependency to take care of.
We have a what to take care of?
A dependency?
Dependency.
Oh.
I am dependent on input from others, and I
okay.
have not followed up with anybody to get it started.
Okay, I got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
You bet.
Well, Maureen and her IT guy and I met at the museum a week or 2 ago, so I'll see what she has on her mind. On number 4.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Larry, I wanted to let the group know that we had a very good meeting at the museum last week. My consultant said it would be straightforward to interface me to your computer. Your OS and Office Suite are identical to the one I use at my home. We just need your permission to load my screen reader and an OCR utility. But if we ever need to do that, it's simple. And if I would need to get into your vertical file, I could use my Octagon to read ordinary print files. So it's very easy for me to interface to your filing system either way.
Great.
Yes, now concerning the research we did on the origins of Superior and the origins of the town name, my brother and I talked to Lola Gaudreau. She's the one who did the family genealogy. She researched the Hague family clear back to the 1700s. Their home was in England in Northumbria, now known as Durham County, and that was a mining district in England. The Higgs were always involved in mining in some aspect. So they came to America and first settled in Pennsylvania and Ohio, then moved on to Wisconsin. William Hague and his wife came from Platteville in Grant County, Wisconsin. That's the southwest corner of Wisconsin, north of Chicago. The Higgs were nowhere near Superior, Wisconsin. That's way north up on Lake Superior. It's across the bay from Duluth, Minnesota. They're considered twin cities. So we know the town did not get its name from Superior, Wisconsin. Lola indicated she was told the quality of the coal, but knew that there was that misinformation about Superior, Wisconsin. She also said the Higgs came here as, quote, 59ers, unquote. It was the gold rush in Colorado of 59 that brought them here. They left Wisconsin in 59 and arrived in Colorado in 1860. She said she hadn't heard the story about the Higgs being in a town called Superior, Nebraska. So Mike went online to check public records. Superior, Nebraska does exist, but it wasn't planted until 1865, 5 years after the Higgs made it to Colorado. And for the 1880 census, there were about 485 residents in Superior, Nebraska. So we can rule out that story about the Higgs breaking down. There was no such town. So that's the type of research we'd be doing. We would be working from our family documents and public records.
Oh, excellent.
What town did she say they came from out of Wisconsin?
Hatfield, I wrote down.
Was it Hatfield? Okay.
You can ask her, just to make sure. That's what it sounded like.
Platteville in Grant County,
Platteville.
Wisconsin.
Platteville.
Platteville.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
I think it's still a town, but I
Oh,
need
yes.
to go on Google to search.
That's not far from
So
my
it's
hometown.
definitely the superior quality of the coal.
That's what I
But
always
you
heard.
had said they wrote stories about it even in 1894. They were advertising this area as having superior coal.
Right, that's where it came from. Was there any settlement here when the Higgs came? You can ask her that. There was a town or any settlement?
he started it, so.
Yeah.
Don't think so.
Because he had the kite route.
No, we don't think there was. The Higgs were definitely the first to settle here. But what you said in your article, that they came to serve some of the mining camps, was also true. Lola confirmed that. She said they always had an interest in mining in some way. Seems like it was a family trade. So it was logical they would come to a mining area.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's
That's probably
from
why I
England they came
recognized
from a
that.
mining. Yeah, they
You
came.
recognize that potential coal seam along the creek then too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did they originally start up on Rocky Flats up here? I had heard that they had a place up there first, and I don't know if that's true or not. And it was so windy they came down here to Superior.
Now that I can't tell you, I need to check our family records to see. It was my understanding they were closer to original Superior. If you put them clear out to Rocky Flats, that's quite a distance.
Mm-hmm.
You almost put them in Marshall that way, don't you?
Well, research that Alan Jarrett did found their name on the census, I think, in Golden. So I think maybe they went to Golden in 1860 and came up, decided to be a farmer instead of a placer miner.
Well, if they came out in the gold rush too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Then the
well, we
golden-
need to verify that. You need to check the land grants. So I think we can say it was the superior quality of the coal. I know my uncle mentioned that also. There was coal on the Archie property, and he said it was also high quality. The type that you would use in pharmaceuticals or the petrochemical industry. So apparently that whole stretch south of original Superior had a rich vein of Superior coal.
Good.
Could you tell her that, especially after I talked with Lola, who I believe is her cousin, for my research, that I've changed the story. I've been changing the story now for quite some time, that I'm not intending to spread the Superior Wisconsin. I've been counteracting that for quite some time, and now we have to go back and change that in that first Superior Historian. And
We can compare, Larry, that's my goal. Sometimes documents come to light after you write something, you've got to revise your story.
yeah, we have to
You're a
revise that.
history teacher, I'm curious.
I made up a lot of stuff.
That comes to mind like the Lusitania. They claimed at the time it was torpedoed. It was an act of aggression, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
The Americans and the British were breaking the treaties. The Lusitania was armed to the teeth. It sank because the torpedo hit the part of the ship that was holding the munitions in it. So the Americans and the British violated the treaties. The Germans were justified in torpedoing.
That's right.
So what I was saying.
But those documents didn't come to light until the 1960s. Yet Winston Churchill and Franklin Roosevelt knew what was going on.
Sure they
It
do.
was a secret agreement among the American and the British. Both were young civil servants during World War I. So I bet we are seeing new documents coming.
Good comment.
part I didn't get finished saying is that also we'll need to, whenever we reprint the
Yes,
Law
so
Superior, we'll have
Larry,
to
that's what we hope
revise
to
that too.
do. We
Yes.
hope to compare personal records and public records.
Well,
Then,
I'm
as I mentioned in my email, I would need to talk to the webmaster and compare. Wikipedia has definite terms of usage. I'm still studying them. And I'd need to understand how the webmaster designs the town website so I could interface accordingly. I showed you one example of an editing correction last time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't, is Melissa the webmaster?
Melissa, Katie also has a lot of administration range there, Katie Rummel.
Oh,
I think she was talking
Oh,
more.
Melissa's still here. She still does it.
Mhm.
She and Nadine together.
Nadine is also,
Mhm.
yeah.
those are the names I mentioned
Well,
in the
the
email the other day.
webmasters have certain criteria that they tell their contributors to follow. I worked with webmasters at all, and they would give me their specifications, and I would create content. So I definitely need to know how to interface to the town website.
Mhm.
I think what she's talking about is making the history explanation on the website more complete.
Mhm.
Because
Right.
we've already got the Superior Wisconsin out of that.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it, it's got off the record, I don't know if if it needs to be as formalized as Maureen's talking about. I emailed her yesterday, I said, I think you're overestimating us in terms of our sophistication, because I don't think we're quite as sophisticated maybe as Ball was or something like that.
Well, Wikipedia though too, we have to make sure that we fit into what that webmaster agrees to accept from
Yeah.
people.
And I think
But
that's what
we-
she's finding
yeah,
out in her
she's talking-
research.
yeah,
too,
she's
how to-
looking at that
how to
too.
do
She
that,
mentioned that too.
Which is great, because I've often wondered how people make corrections on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Well,
you-
thank her for all of her effort on this, and I'll follow up, and maybe she and I and someone like you
You're
did.
welcome, Larry. I'll be in touch with you in coming weeks as I slowly work on it.
Okay.
I'll always copy Mary Cartwright and Brian so they know what's
That's
going
just-
on.
That's just right, so that's just right.
Well, the reason I mentioned this up on Rocky Flats, I had been told, and again, I don't know how true it is, that when they came in here, they originally settled up there, and they were up there maybe a year, and the wind was so bad up there that they finally came down here. But when Mark Udall was still a senator, he had a press conference up there on Rocky Flats, and there was log cabins in the background. Now, I've been wondering if that was part of, if they actually were up there, if that's part of their homestead or whatever you want to call it up there. And I'm wondering if that still exists up there. That's why I keep sort of referring to that.
Well,
There is
yeah.
a homestead up there, and a ranch, but
Yeah,
it's
the-
not.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and
Part of the
look.
church ranch system. I think.
Yeah, it's,
Oh.
I'd have to go back and look on I probably got it in my Rocky
I
Flats notes.
doubt if the Hakes went there, because
Well, yeah.
if they came out in 1859 and they got their homestead in 1860, it doesn't give them much time to
Yeah.
spend on Rocky Flats.
Well, they probably stopped in Golden, and then they came down what is now 93, probably camped out in Rocky Flats for a few nights, and then they found this spot.
Well, that's
Yeah.
entirely possible.
Yeah, I think-
That's where that came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stopped
That's why-
up there during a windy time.
Well, you
So
can
let's
only
keep
go,
going.
you can only go 10 to 20 miles a day, when you were traveling by wagon and horses or
Yeah.
oxen or whatever they would
They
have
could have made
had.
a stop.
They
on
probably
Rocky
stopped there
Flats.
and then they moved down here, so it could be that.
I think that's pretty likely.
Mhm.
Well, that settles that.
Yeah,
But
well, we'll make it so even if we don't know. We'll see.
one of the guys at the ANFRAM the other day is the fellow from the Rocky Flats Museum, and they still don't have a building. And Congress is supposed to allocate funding to either build or occupy a building, And so right now, they're paying some kind of massive storage fees because they've got everything they have, because they have a lot apparently is in storage. What I'm getting at is, I don't know, I've never been in and around Rocky Flats. I don't know if we could, when the hiking trails open up and all that sort of thing, if a person could find those buildings you're talking about. I just don't know anything about them, so.
You can arrange for a tour of Rocky Flats with U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Okay.
And I've never been on it because I have no desire to go on top of 600 pounds of plutonium that are gone, lost on the site. So, and then you get plutonium, you breathe it in because it gets disturbed in the soil. If it's on your skin, you can wash it off. But if you get it inside your lung and in your bloodstream, you're going to eventually develop cancer from that. It might take 20 years, but there's just, I have no desire to go there. But you can, if you were ever interested, Larry or Wally or Karen or any of the rest of you.
I'm sending Wally in.
Yeah, because Clint,
Send a step kid.
Clint has gone on it, Chris Hansen, and I think Sandy Pennington went once too. But she threw her shoes away when she came in, because she didn't want the dust on them. But, you can go there and actually see those. It's very beautiful. I've seen pictures, but I've not actually gone on it. Also, can I make a couple comments about the museum? That you're talking about the Rocky Flats Museum?
Okay.
Didn't you say that the person said that they're holding a lot of
Yeah, items to be
Rocky
displayed in the
Flats?
museum, yeah.
So the act that created Rocky Flats as a wildlife refuge, actually, the federal government, there was an act of Congress that created the Rocky Flats Wildlife Refuge, actually provided for a museum to be built in Arvada. Not on the site itself, but in Arvada, and money would be provided to that. So sometime after the U.S. Fish and Wildlife took over the Rocky Flats site as a wildlife refuge, or the perimeter, because the center will never be given up. The Department of Energy holds the very core of the Rocky Flats, which is so contaminated it'll never ever be cleaned up. It's capped with concrete, but the Rocky Flats, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife then said, oh, let's take that money that's been allocated, or the provision for money to be allocated for the museum, let's move it into and onto the Rocky Flats site. Let's build a visitor center there. So there's some $8 to $20 million that they've been throwing around would be needed to build a visitor center on Rocky Flats, which would include perhaps this museum for the trigger manufacturing that was done there at Rocky Flats. But the original act was to put it in Arvada, not on the site itself. And there's a lot of people that are protesting and trying to stop the wildlife and equestrian paths that they're proposing throughout the Rocky Flats site, because of the fact that it'll disturb the soil where there still is plutonium particles.
You should have a discussion with the fellows here the other day, because he was very adamant about how it's cleaned up and there's no problem, so.
Well, of course it's been cleaned up as good as it can be, but it's not all gone. There's no, and then the question of, well, will someone eventually get cancer from disturbing the soil there? There's no clear evidence of how much of a risk that is. I mean, they have it, it's like 1 in 100,000 opportunity or something, but you go 1 in 100,000. Is it necessary to build more trails when we have so many already that go through a contaminated site?
Yeah.
That's the point I ask, is why are we spending $20 million to build trails on something that we know is contaminated? And they say it's safe contamination, levels of contamination, Larry. That's what it's been cleaned up to a safe level.
Are you gonna shop with that, the new King Soopers down there?
No, I don't know. Well, that shouldn't be a problem,
I know,
but you know, people ask about Superior. Well, everything is downwind and down water from Rocky. We're upwind and up water. So but Rock Creek itself, the creek, not Coal Creek here, but Rock Creek comes out of the foothills above Rocky Flats, goes through that northwest corner of the Rocky Flats where the ranch
wind
is.
turbines too.
Yeah, and back around, and then it comes down behind through Community Park. So we do have Rock Creek that can flow down through parts of Rocky Flats, but it's not the most contaminated area of Rocky
Well,
Flats.
they must have considered this somewhat contaminated at one time because we got all that money.
There was a
Remember the
Superfund cleanup.
$100,000 we got?
Yeah, that was to the, I think all the towns that
Yeah.
abutted on.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they spent
Flats, yeah.
lots of money to
Well-
clean it up to this safe level of contamination.
billions.
It's not all gone, it's to a safe level.
Well, let's move
Well, you
on down
wonder
to
about
the
those
agenda.
houses down there.
We can. Correspondence, I think what's required now would be a thank you note to PAPS. And
Yes.
one of the things I was going to do is bring you a copy of their address. But we have Stan PAPS, so we have had donations from them before. Stanley Papp, P-A-P-P.
Oh, spell the last name?
P-A-P-P.
Okay.
So if you need more, I can go get them.
If we've sent something to them, then I haven't, unless it's changed.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
when they're on
And
Jerosa
did
or
they give
something.
anything else besides the phone?
Just the phone.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that was
if you don't-
great.
Yeah. If you don't have it, I can go get it for you.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Fire truck at museum openings, Wally and I could not get the door open
Oh.
at the firehouse, and I just went by this morning and tried again, and I couldn't get it to open either, so.
Is it a combination issue?
Yeah, it's
or-
It's a push
keypad.
button.
Oh, it's one of those.
But
It's a
that's where
keypad,
the,
and I asked Brian, he said I have the right number. So it must be operator error, I guess.
Oh, I wouldn't think it would be that.
Thank you, Wally.
you should ask, because Patrick Hammers, some of his people are there now, working
Yeah.
out of that.
And nobody was there when I.
Nobody was there, but if maybe they have changed something that,
Well, I asked Brian, he said
Just
they
over
hadn't
here at the
changed.
firehouse?
Yeah.
yeah, the firehouse in
Yeah.
original towns.
Okay.
Yeah, those are funky because you have to really press them in individually and
Maybe I
then
wasn't pushing
hit the
it.
Maybe
enter
that's what-
button.
Maybe that was part of the problem.
Yeah, so sometimes we have the same locks over at the sports stable, and sometimes you have to do 2 or 3 times.
Oh, really? Oh, that's,
Well, we
Oh.
did it more than 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
yeah.
If you don't hit it right square on or
That's
right
right.
in the
Then
middle.
Wally put that M80 in there and lit it on fire.
Talk to it Polish. and-
There you go.
So we didn't make it last time, so is that why it was on the agenda?
Yeah, that was the only reason that's on the agenda, was just
So
the issue of being able to get the truck out.
we'll keep working at it. Of course, we won't ever take it out. Weather
No.
would be prohibited, so. And Jill did some research on plexiglass covers and has been working on Jenny Crawford's writings, and now we decided not to do the plexiglass covers, so thanks for your research, Jill. Anything new on Jenny Crawford's writings?
Okay, I wanted to
Oh.
thank Jill for doing, this is on here for only one reason. Jill had completed the original version and then her edited version, and we have that. I put it on here to just flag it, what are we doing with it in terms of the museum? I wasn't sure
That's
what we
over
were
to
doing.
Jill.
My understanding was, when you guys asked for the help, was that we just wanted to have a copy on hand that we might put it out on the display table for people to look at and, print it and protect the covers. We might post it in to the website with the old historical links, but we were going to figure that out when it was done. So
Okay.
all I know is we needed to get a copy of it.
Yeah, it's well worth reading, I think. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a really good read.
Uh-huh.
It does need proofreading. Right?
Oh, your version, you mean? Or,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because
I can do that.
It's one of those, I tried not to change content, but I tried to clean up and transcribe, so, yeah.
Okay.
So it does need to be read and proofread, just to make sure I didn't miss something major, right?
Okay.
Heaven forbid skip a line, but beyond that, like I said, the discussion the day we talked about last time was, do we post it to the website or do we put it out at the museum in a bind, a small binder or something? And keep copies archived that way. But now I missed a few meetings, so I'm not sure where it went.
Okay.
Probably do both.
I would
Yeah.
think so, because
Yeah.
I've been part of your discussions when you've talked about expanding, of course, the website. We were talking about that earlier with Maureen. But I think the more things that we can add, more historical research and resources that we can add to the Historical Commission section of the website, the town's website, would be great. We can expand upon that. We got a lot of room, you know, the Town of Superior's website can handle a lot more pages and information than what's there now.
That would be a nice little read how the Ackland family moved from Illinois to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's interesting to hear how they got back at the guys with their cat calls and how she didn't like going to prom and spilling the shoe grease on and getting burned by it. I mean, it's, you know, using the Sears catalog for toilet paper.
Yes.
It really gives you,
Remember
a good
those
sense.
days?
Yeah, we tell the second graders that. You guys do, that's really fun. So do we put a copyright or anything on the bottom of any of these writings? Is there anything that, do we care? Just the town, the
We
historical
haven't,
commission, do
Well,
we need
the copyright wouldn't be the Historic Commission, it would be
hers?
the Ackland family.
Right.
So if I can go on mute a minute, I can ask my personal intellectual property attorney.
I think that would be good.
Who's that?
Yeah, because if they, the Ackland family, or any of the Historical Commission ever wanted to print it and make money off of it rather than just providing it as a resource, then we should have something that says it's copyrighted. Otherwise, if we don't care, and if they don't care, if they want it as a resource for anybody to use, then you wouldn't mark it.
And this is one of the things that, in my conversation with Maureen, I've been saying maybe we're not that sophisticated, because I think she's brought up intellectual property issues a number of times.
Okay, hey guys,
And,
I just talked to Dan, and he said there's an implied copyright to the Ackland family, but if there's any concern about it, it would cost, he says the registration of a copyright is about $12.
oh, okay.
And
So, it would be, the copyright would be owned by the Acklands, not by the Historic Commission or the Town of Superior.
right,
Okay.
which is good.
And
Makes sense.
and they can transfer it to us if they want.
Right. Could we, does it matter if we mark it even though we haven't applied for the copyright?
Let me ask. What if it's marked without being applied for? It just doesn't stand up in court then? Yeah. Yeah, you can mark it, it just doesn't, you couldn't sue for, if someone reused it, you wouldn't have legal right to sue for anything.
Right. And then one thing though
It's a legal
is,
fee.
it is that well, my understanding in past writings is that if you mark it, at least it puts a date of when it was first marked as such. Not necessarily if someone wanted to take it and use it and you haven't filed for it, but at least you can go back and say, here's when I marked it first. And, but I don't know. It's probably not that important for that work, but even like Larry, all of your work, but you have to then document every place you get
Yeah, should
reference.
the historians be copyrighted? Jill, you want to ask? Yo, Jill.
Hang on, what I'm gonna do is go to, I'm gonna come off my headset and go to the speaker. Okay, hang on just a minute.
Because I don't think they should.
Whether the
either. They get borrowed a
historian
lot.
letter or
Information.
articles
Not
should
true.
be copyrighted.
Okay. Can you ask her, so those of you who don't know, my husband Dan, he's an IT attorney.
There you go.
So
That's good.
that's why I was recalling over our
Which days
fastball.
are we talking?
I'm gonna let him answer your question.
So I guess Larry
We
Dory.
have a question on the historians.
Oh, yeah, should the historians be copyrighted?
The historians was a newsletter that used to go out, that Larry
Oh, I
researched and wrote
see.
to uptown. Well, everything.
I thought it already
anything that is created,
was. They,
so like,
didn't you get a copyright on it? I see the web page has a copyright to the town of Superior. Doesn't that mean it's a blanket copyright?
That would be a good
anytime you
question.
create anything, regardless of whether it's old or like years ago or, by a company or by whatever,
there is an inherent copyright in common law that's created and established immediately. That allows you to put on the words to say that it's copyrighted. The reason that you register something with the federal government for
I
copyright
should
protection
think
is so that you have
At
stronger
least
legal.
you own the property if you created it, or would it be the hometown news?
So if you have
Tell her
more
the attorney
materials,
is
you just want to
answering
know
that.
whether you can put the words copyright on the bottom of it, sure, yeah, you can do that. If you're concerned that someone might actually take the materials and put them in a book or do something else with them, having that statement allows you to tell them, hey, you can't really do that. But if it was a more of a concern, we really want to make sure we have teeth, then we take whatever the material is and we submit it
Yeah.
to the U.S. Copyright Office with a general form and like $15-20. It's a very simple process. I can certainly help if anyone wants to have that done, but it sounds like just simply the right to state on the documents or somewhere on your web page or other materials that this is subject to copyright, that sounds fine.
Mhm.
And certainly something you can do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good recommendation and comment to at least mark it, and then we have it marked, and if we find something of significant value or potential future value, then we can go and submit the copyright application.
And like Maureen says, it
Registration.
looks like it says that on the website, our town website, so. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
You happen to be in the area,
Have a good
huh?
one.
I think anything you do, you should just mark it as copyright. And then you mark it, and then at least that's when you can say, we've had this marked that it's ours for this many years, you know, and people, with the internet now, almost everything gets re-copied, retweeted,
Yeah.
re.
Right.
And so you never know anymore, but if you go back to
Important
the
issue.
source and it says it was copyrighted, then there is some teeth to that.
All right, thanks, Jill. And thanks to Dan.
Yep, I'll pass that on.
And the number 8, the long-term planning, Lindsay's not here, so we'll postpone that some more, I guess. Karen, it looks like you're the drapery updater person.
Yeah, there isn't much to update here, but we did replace all the drapes in the bedrooms because those were very thin curtains in there before, and now we have thermal drapes in there to keep out the heat and the cold. We've chosen not to do anything with the living room because those are a little bit higher quality drapes that are already in there. We couldn't find really a good color for in there. So for right now, we're postponing the living room because those are a little thicker. So for right now, I think we're done with drapes.
Good.
Okay, thanks for your work on that, you and Mary. Appreciate it. 2017 budget spending, I think we've covered that. We did cover the budget, so.
Yeah, it's been taken care of.
Yeah, and we haven't done the final budgeting of the allocation of funds yet. That'll come up in a board meeting for the whole budget of the town.
Okay.
In the upcoming in November.
I had another under old, maybe it's under new business. I'll just go ahead and say it since I started. I emailed everybody about the security system being updated with the fob system, and so, Kevin, did Brian say anything about?
October
steps?
30th, it would be activated.
Oh, okay.
And the fob would activate and deactivate the security system.
So the idea is then open up the key box, take out the fob, and hit the whatever button, and then the alarm be deactivated. You can go into the basement or the ground floor, the main floor. So,
That means we don't get to set the alarm off anymore?
yeah, it turned out it was pretty much
My
a lot of
gosh.
fun, huh?
Well, I don't know about that.
Cheap entertainment. Watch everybody run around. What do we do now?
Maybe Phyllis Harden will be happy.
That's right.
It would not do.
So, because it would come to her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes to her first, and then if we turn it off, then she knows enough not to send it any further.
Yeah, yeah.
Which has happened before
Those people over
a few
there
times.
screwing around.
Those
Yeah.
dopes again. Kevin, did Brian say anything about whether the barn got cleaned out or not?
Yeah, he said that work has been done.
Okay.
Oh,
Remember
good.
at the last meeting, I think, well, sometime, maybe it was after one of the field trips, Mary went over and
Good
pointed
for
out
her.
where,
Yeah.
what was supposed to go and what was supposed to stay. So it sounds like
Yeah.
it has been accomplished. Thank you. Any other old business?
Yeah, well, I don't know whether it's old or new. Maybe it's new. I'll wait.
Okay. Staffing, November 4th, I'll be around for that. Anybody else available?
I guess we'll be around.
Wall is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have enough. November 16th, the roundtable? No, that's, their next meeting will be in December. Anne Fram's next meeting will be in December, not November. It's every 2 months.
Okay, wait a minute.
I
What
know.
about number 2?
I'm in number 2, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that was Anne Fram. If I'm available, I'll go to the roundtable. I apologize.
Okay.
And the big topic of the day, and with our sparse population, I don't know, get it solved today, but the holiday potluck. Walt Ackerman emailed us and said, let him know he can get the clubhouse again if we want to do that. So I guess we'll just do things by consensus. Do we want to do that, to go back to the clubhouse again?
I think that was a good place to do it.
Yeah,
I thought it was
that's
a good
really
place. We
nice.
had
It's a nice place to hold.
Plenty of room
Mhm.
as opposed to our living room, which didn't have enough any longer.
It was cozy.
Yes.
Cheryl and I will be gone the weekend of the 9th and 10th of December, just
Okay.
FYI.
So that might, well, we've always had it on a Sunday. We don't have to have it on a Sunday, but if you do, that leaves the 3rd or the 17th. You don't want it on the 24th.
You don't think so?
No.
Is my calendar right? Does that leave the 3rd and the 17th of those
Yes.
Sundays?
The
Okay.
3rd
Yeah, or-
is a Sunday, yeah.
Or have it on the, we missed it last year, and if we have to miss it, that's the way it goes.
No, but we
17th
should try to,
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
we
give it a
shoot for the
choice.
17th?
Maureen,
We could-
Maureen would like.
Why don't we
the
go
third.
for the 17th and see if there are any big conflicts there?
Yeah.
Do you have a conflict on that day?
I have basically a template that we used last year for providing all the information. I can do that again. I can get together with Walt. But I think maybe do we need to wait? He can tentatively reserve it maybe for the 17th,
Yeah.
so we don't lose it.
Yeah, and I think he can do that remotely,
But
too.
maybe-
Probably just email or
Yeah.
phone call, so.
But maybe as far as this is concerned, we could wait until November.
Right.
If we could establish the date and make sure that the clubhouse is available for step 1, huh?
Do you want me to get with him and let him know the date, and then he can go
Sure.
forward?
Yeah.
I'd be glad
If
to
you
do
don't
that.
mind doing that.
Okay.
And if there's any problem, you could come to our house too. I've got plenty of room, so if you can't get into the clubhouse.
Okay.
Okay.
Jill, 17th.
Do you know
Jill.
what you're volunteering for?
Yeah. At the
Well, thank
holiday
you.
times, we have lots of people over, so.
Jill, 17th work for you and Dan?
I will cross my fingers. I don't seem to own my calendar these days.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, I am in town this Thursday.
Is it in the evening you usually do it, or the
Afternoon.
afternoon? Afternoon, yeah. So
Yeah,
that's-
what do we do it at 2 to
No, it was usually 1 to 4.
1?
Yeah, that's good. And then if you have an evening thing too, then you can double
Yeah.
book your day, yeah.
We'll try to get better directions this year, because the directions weren't
It's
as
hard to,
accurate as they could have been last year.
it's hard to find that clubhouse if you've never been
Once
there
you
before.
know where it is,
Right.
it's pretty easy, but
If you've never been there before, you'll kind of go around in circles.
Yeah.
so
Yes.
parking was kind of an issue.
Google Maps.
parking was a problem too.
Mhm.
Follow the corn on the sidewalk.
Okay, we could double up on that maybe. Okay, so we'll shoot for, see how many people can will be
should do
available
Kevin.
for the 17th of
Yes.
December.
Well, what we could do is that day too, if you had to, have people get somebody from the street and then take them up there and drop them off and
Yeah.
all that to help them. But we
The
figured that out.
facility is very nice.
Very nice, yeah. I've been there for a couple of things.
I think they just redid the floors there, put in new hardwood floors or something.
Oh, yeah,
so-
very nice.
So,
Okay.
Karen, do you have anything new under new business?
Yeah, well, there was another item here.
Count the holiday lights.
Number 4?
Oh, I must not
Okay,
have-
you don't have enough.
I don't have.
You have my
Well,
version, which
okay.
Brian added number
Okay.
4.
Well, so the count the lights will be on December 2nd, and what we've done in the past is, we've opened up, do you know when it's gonna start, when that lighting?
It's going to be 3:30 to 5:30 this year.
Oh, okay.
So
That's different.
the idea is to do it in the daylight, to be able to have the, and then end at the lighting at the very end, when it starts to get a little darker.
Oh, okay.
They were also thinking it got really chilly once the sun went down.
Right,
And so they're trying to keep it at a better temperature.
So we're
right.
saying 3:30 to 5:30?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so what we've done in the past is, because I think it was 6 or 7 and they had the lighting, and we would open it like at 5. So should we open, and we didn't open our normal hours.
Mhm.
Well, our fire.
So what do we feel, should we go ahead and like open from 3 to 6 or something like that? And not open our usual hours?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Maureen was asking if the fire truck will be in there.
The fire truck will be there, weather
But not
permitting, I
lit.
assume, but they're not gonna put the lights on the truck anymore, they're gonna put the lights on the tree, because we don't wanna mess up that new paint job.
Oh, at one time, last year, I think some of us talked about at the board event about, it was kind of cool to light up the old truck, you know, and leave it there.
Yes.
And if you can't really see the tree when you're going by as well as you could
Yeah.
the truck, but there was a lot of old equipment that the question had been asked once, could we drag some old piece of equipment out from the junkyard and light it up, you know?
Oh, from Danny's place?
Yeah, from Danny's place.
Oh, well, he's got a bunch of old trucks.
Bunch of old stuff, you could pull it over there and just, you know, light that up, like you did the truck, because it was really cool to see the truck lit up, but I don't know if, you know, instead of just
That's a pretty
lighting
good
up.
idea. Can't wait for Dennis to reply to that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he was, I talked to him a couple days ago, he was
Did you?
out in the street,
Yeah.
and I didn't talk to him about this, but I should have asked him that. Hey, could he was working on his old truck that day when I stopped to talk to him, and,
Which old truck?
well, the
That
little
black
pickup
one that
truck.
sits out.
Yeah, he had the
I
hood
think
up.
we
He
should
was-
put the Chris Craft boat out there.
Ooh.
Yeah, we should do something,
Well,
but,
you want to put that in Wally's garage, I think.
Yeah, we
I
do.
know.
That
One of
would
us
disappear
does.
overnight.
Anyway, so that
Yeah,
was a
that's
comment
a-
that was made a year ago, now a whole year has gone by, and I don't know if we want to think about that, because it's kind of cool to light up something other than a tree.
I think so. yeah.
It's kind of a fun idea, we could get, you know, someone to, or you pull it over there, pull something out there, but I don't know.
Pull that old
I don't know if
crane
it's-
is over there.
What, Wally?
Pull that old crane is over there.
I know, you know, yeah,
Over
and then,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
that
20
would
feet
be-
tall.
Yeah.
It's just a comment, and I'm
Yeah.
sure
I'll share that with town
staff probably
staff.
will
Yeah,
probably gonna
Yeah,
go.
because I think that'd be, I agree with that, the tree was nice, but it's not real visible.
It's not real visible, and it doesn't, it isn't unique. You know, like the truck was really unique when it was lit up.
He's got everything from pickups to dump trucks over there, so
Yeah,
it's something to blow the tires up on and pull her over there,
yeah.
Another change this year is that Skate with Santa, the chamber event, is happening at the same time. So it's going to start earlier. They're going to do it all over here at the sports stable and then close that off, and then everybody then moves over to Count the Lights after that. So they're
Oh.
hoping to reroute people this way.
Oh, good.
Great.
So the chamber's going to be announcing that and bringing people over.
Okay.
Well, why don't you run that past them, see if 3 to
Absolutely.
6 sounds good
Yep.
to them, and then we'll just have to do whatever we did last year to make sure that people know that we won't be open on the usual open hours. That is what we want to do, isn't it? We don't want
Yeah.
to
I don't see any reason to be there 10 to 2 and then
3 to 6 again.
unless you did, you know, 2 different crews or something like that. But,
Mhm.
yeah, so, okay, we'll just proceed with that, I guess, then, Kevin, and
You got it.
I'm glad you, I should have printed up the latest model there, I didn't. Okay. Anything new, Karen, you want to go over?
Yeah, just a couple things. I don't know if anybody's interested in this, but Historic Boulder has their Ghost Walk, Ghost Talk at 1206 Euclid, which is the Boulder Museum. October 28th from 4 to 9, if anybody's interested in that date. It's always kind of interesting. So,
Go to that place while you can, because when the new one gets built, I guess they're gonna close that.
yeah, they are.
When it gets finished, the new one gets finished. And so far it's been called BAM, Boulder something
I
museum.
can't remember the
Yeah,
official
what's the
name
A
now.
for it? Boulder. At any rate, that, which is gonna be next to the Carnegie Library in the old Masonic Lodge
Oh, yeah.
at Spruce and, Spruce and Broadway. Okay. Karen.
Okay, then I had one other thing. I went to the Louisville Museum the other day because I had some old pictures of Louisville that my parents took when they were on a trip out here in 1939, and my mother had carefully labeled all these pictures going into Louisville and this tourist court they stayed at. At any rate, I took them over to Bridget Bacon in the Louisville Museum, and she wanted the pictures. But in the process of going over there, she and I got talking, and I think we talked for a couple hours about stuff. And she alerted me that the Louisville has approved, or did approve funding to digitize their Louisville Times paper. And they have recently completed 1942 to 2007. And you can get onto that through ColoradoHistoricNewspapers.org. if anybody's interested. And I got into it the other day just to begin with, and I just put the word Superior in there because she thinks there's probably a lot of history about Superior in those old papers. And sure enough, it came up with 1,600 things to read, I think. Really? And I started to read them, and they're pretty interesting. There was an article about somebody dying in the industrial mine and what happened to them. And there's a lot of stuff in there, and I only did it for about a half an hour, and I barely looked at it, really. But if anybody's interested, you can actually get a login through there. It's ColoradoHistoricNewspapers.org, and then you put in the Louisville Times,
I've been on that
and
site.
you can look for 1942 through 2007 right now, and they have finished doing that. So there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
interesting.
Fantastic. That's
Yeah.
great. But they being History Colorado did it?
You know, I'm not sure who did that.
I think that Louisville City had the money for somehow left over from.
Yeah, Louisville funded
That
it, but I
tax.
don't know who actually
Yeah,
did
yeah,
it.
or is that what, I didn't, is that the question? Who paid for it or where it got funded from? Louisville, I think the city did it. Was that-
I was wondering who actually did it.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
History
not
Colorado did it, or Louisville?
I'm not
people?
sure. I'm going back to see her this afternoon. I'll ask her who
Yeah.
actually did the work.
Well, that's really good news, because that's a fun site to get on and
Yes, it
look at
is.
those old newspapers. And that, of course, they have-
But I was amazed at how much stuff on Superior is in there.
Right.
Well, you know, I've
We
been-
might learn a lot of interesting things.
I think they did it out of the library, you know, somewhere how the Louisville Library did it.
Okay.
It was part of the Louisville Library.
Oh.
They digitized those paper records because the paper, they had a lot of papers, but in
Yeah.
paper form, and
Yeah.
then the newspapers in paper form, and they were getting pretty used,
Okay,
you know, and abused.
that's good news.
Yeah. Okay,
Is
that
there
was all I
any
had.
other new business?
The only thing I want to make a comment about is that you've probably seen a lot of trees that they planted around the cemetery.
No.
There's the developer has planted, they've
Really?
made irrigation, yeah, so if you go on 36, you'll see them up there along the
Oh.
hillside. And you can see some, if you ever want to brave, going into the town center and
Are they around the cemetery or?
on the outside, you know, on the hillsides, up there, they put evergreen trees
Oh,
up there.
okay.
Yeah, so they put mostly evergreen trees. I don't know if there's
That will
deciduous
hold that
trees.
soil
Yeah,
in
there's some
much better.
deciduous, there's maybe some bushes too that they've put around
Yeah, they're
there.
putting in something up there.
And then they've seeded the whole thing, so it's gonna have grass all around it too. I've seen the grass starting to pop up. Yeah, that's right. Keep your fingers crossed.
I don't know, those are weeds usually that pop up through
Oh.
that. They've not
That's
had
the
much
good
luck
news.
over at the town center
Yeah.
with seeding anything. It usually
Mm.
comes up weeds. I don't know what kind of seed they're using, but.
Oh, I'm
But
gonna take
there's
this.
quite a few trees. If you go on 36, you
Okay.
go in toward Denver, you'll
Yeah.
see, if you look there, there's trees planted there. And if you go all the way in to the other backside of Boulder Valley Ice, you'll see, the Swartz-Eagle, you'll see trees put up there.
Looks really nice.
Great, that's really good news.
Better than that steep,
Yeah.
where the caskets are barely.
Hanging on. Any other new business? Okay, well, I don't think we need to vote on the motion today. So if we're through, I guess we'll hereby adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for being here, and thanks, Kevin, for filling in for Brian.
Absolutely.
And thanks, Jill, for joining us today on the remote.
Well, see you all in November, Ray.
Okay.
Watch your email. I'll be in touch with you.
Ooh.
I hope to make more progress before the next meeting.
Looking forward to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye, Jill.
I just talked to her and she didn't
Thanks,
reply.
guys.
Oh, there she is, okay. Thanks, Jill.
She was having a margarita.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish.
Oh, it is Friday.
She's still,
Yeah.
she heard that.
Yeah, she heard that one, didn't she?
Yeah.
The margarita, she was listening. That was opportune. She must be at home today if
Yeah.
Dan was there, so.
The Chicago Manual Style
Well, they're off
17th
to the
edition
post
has
office.
updates on how to reference, reread,
When I brought this in for
May I
you,
just
and I
put
wasn't
it
gonna
in?
yeah,
discuss it.
information on websites.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so, yeah, it's all updated.
And
Oh, good, good,
Yeah,
okay.
she's now
Bob
up
McCool
on today.
brought up this thing
Right.
about how
But it's,
things are
it's
changing
really an
so much
issue
down
for a lot of
here.
people that
Oh, yeah.
want to make money off of or
Yeah.
maintain
We never had that.
ownership of their own writings. And pictures too.
Yes.
Pictures are.
It's a fun, interesting meeting to be in.
Yeah, this is a good group.
Learn a lot.
I can translate almost as fast as.
That's all?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she can read that.
Yeah.
Sense it, okay.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, yeah, so what, I forgot what Bob said.
Well, he's concerned about the character of the old town is changing so much. And it's almost, so, we tried to put an ordinance in down here, and got completely out of the water.
Historical.
Yeah, well, we get town historical preservation ordinance. We have one in place, which we had to regroup, and it has no teeth whatsoever. But we had to put it in place in order to be able to get grants from the
Oh,
state.
yeah, right, right.
Because without any kind of an ordinance, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what ended up getting us the grant for the museum over there. So it's sort of making me wonder.
Are you all around next Tuesday and Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday? Because they're doing the small area, northwest area planning, which is really basically to take a look at original town. Is that on there? Yeah, okay. Well, this is kind of odd. It doesn't face reshaping. It's that, let's get together and talk about this before it gets reshaped and see if we're moving.
I didn't find that article to be very clear.
It's very bad. It's a very bad article. And everything that, who wrote that one? Anthony? Yeah, Anthony. He doesn't really think through what he's he just takes words and put them down and it's out of context. But that would be where we're trying to, the planning commission's running, but trying to say, okay, how do we keep traffic, how do we keep building, how do we keep changes based on something that people can agree upon as a group? And if you
it's really more of, people have a right, because they own land, of course, to do things based on the existing codes.
Right.
Well, the problem is, there aren't as many codes for the original town as there were or are for other parts of town, like Rock Creek. And so you go back and say, okay, are we a town, one town, or are we a series of little communities? And that's where we've been in the past. I know, because people would say, when I first came here, everybody would say, oh, you live in Rock Creek? I said, no, I live in Superior. I've never said I lived in Rock Creek, you know, and I always would say that. No, Rock Creek is not a town. Rock Creek is just an area. Yeah, and then Sagamore too gets thrown out. I said, oh, I live in Sagamore. No, we all live in Superior.
Yeah, good point.
That was one thing that.
Yeah, because, boy, we really got blown out of the water at that meeting, when we tried to get that reservation representative.
From the original town.
And we had been asked by the mayor at that time, we had been asked by the mayor that we had at that time, and by a couple of board members to give one place and then he go to place. Sort of figured they were antagonist, and the mayor at that time said this big city tax, and we're not doing it, or she didn't do us. We just said,
That's
Oh, yeah.
expensive. Well, it's only her, she